Hello everyone, intuitive and astrologer Lisa Salvatore here with the month of May. In this video, we're going to go over the astrology and the energies for the month of May, the first half of May, leading up to the full moon in Scorpio that takes place on May 12th. For my members, you're going to get a separate video with readings for each sign for the month of May. If you're not a member and would like to know how to become one, you can sign up for my newsletter. The link is in the description box below, or you can join my YouTube membership. Let's get right into it. Basic housekeeping, you can always just pause this if you need to take this information, and also everything will be linked in the description box below. Don't forget, I offer a lot of supportive content, both free and paid, to help you on your journey, to help to understand your personal astrology at a much deeper and different level. Linked in the description box, I have a free tutorial on how to pull up your birth chart. I also have a free guide through the 12 houses of the birth chart, linked in the description box below. You'll also see a paid tutorial. It's 3 parts that goes into much more detail on how to track the energies in your birth chart. I go through the signs, the seasons, the planets, etc. That will also be linked in the description box below. For the first half of May, the quote that I channeled for the energies is, "The most captivating aura is born not from adornment, but from alignment. When you're lit from within, no sparkle is needed." We are dealing with a lot of still intense energy swirling around. But on the personal level, it feels like everyone is going through a very deep catharsis. There's a lot of facing and moving into and dealing with the quote unquote, the shadow self, the darker side, the psychological or emotionally painful situations that we may have experienced. There's this feeling of really moving through things differently, breaking our hearts open, which will just align us in our truth even that much more. And it's usually that which we are the most afraid of that ends up bringing us into the light. It's typically when we shine the light into the darkness, we realize that it's not so scary. Right off the top, May 1st through May 3rd, we've got a beautiful alignment of Venus and Neptune. This is conditional love and unconditional love dancing together in the heavens. Speaking of dancing, this is a very creative energy. It's a very intuitive energy. And it could literally be about dancing, about the arts, music. So it's a really nice start to the month of May. It's also great for romance. And on another level, it's great for getting clear. It's great for fixing our vision, our inner vision, seeing things differently, coming to a place of understanding and awareness within the truths that we've been potentially not seeing for whatever the reason, specifically when it comes to relationships. And this is also about loving on yourself, loving yourself. To take it back here, it's not about what we have on the outside, but it's about who we are on the inside. And speaking of adornment and alignment, on May 4th, Pluto will station retrograde. Pluto stations retrograde at 3 degrees and 49 minutes of Aquarius. So you're going to want to check your birth chart for any of the hot spots for Pluto, which would be anything, any points or placements around 0 to 3 degrees of Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, or Leo. And if you have anything between 0 and 3 degrees of any of our fixed signs, you are in a Pluto transit. You are under a Pluto transit. And that doesn't mean bad. Pluto gets a bad reputation. Remember, Pluto is a lord of the underworld. He brings everything up from the surface. He's very subterranean. It's all about facing the shadow material and bringing us into our true power, empowerment. Another Lisa quote in regards to Pluto: "The dissolution of the ego is the evolution of the soul." So for everyone, collectively speaking, when Pluto is retrograde, we do take an inward journey into our own proverbial underworld. This is where we are more inclined to dig deep into our own psychology, the way our past has shaped us, what we need to let go of, what toxicity needs to go, mind, body, spirit. Pluto dredges it all up, and he does so subtly, but it's very impactful. It's very long lasting. Pluto moves very slowly, which is why Pluto transits can really feel like they're grinding on us, like the heat is on. Pluto travels through the zodiac only 1 degree per year. And when Pluto stations retrograde, he's retrograde for about 5 months per year. So for example, when I say check your chart, these are the current transits right now. So just ignore all of the location and time and all of that. But let's just say this is your birth chart. We see Pluto here at 3 degrees of Aquarius, and Pluto's getting ready to station retrograde on May 4th. So if this were someone's birth chart, the sun is at 4 degrees, Pluto's at 3. Pluto's getting ready to station retrograde at 3 degrees. So it's not in an exact square to this individual's sun because the sun's in Taurus, but it's pretty close. So they might already be feeling the heat of Pluto, depending on how energetically sensitive they are, or dependent upon what's going on in their life, what's going on in their reality, because it's not going to be the same for everybody. And I always stress that with Pluto transits because we don't want to panic. We just want to be aware. Transformation is the name of the game. It can be very powerfully positive transformation, but it typically requires us to let go and rid ourselves of waste, mind, body, spirit. It's hard-earned wisdom that brings us into true alignment with self. So back to if this was someone's birth chart. Pluto's at 3 degrees, and he will remain at 3 degrees until he stations retrograde and will still remain at 3 degrees for quite some time. Now, moving the chart back a day, this person would be having an exact Pluto square Sun transit. Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius, square the Sun at 3 degrees of Taurus. So Pluto will station retrograde on this individual's Sun. Now, Pluto will station retrograde on May 4th. So I've pulled the chart ahead to May 4th. You can see that Pluto is now retrograde at 3 degrees, and the Sun has now moved to 14 degrees of Taurus. So if your birthday's around May 4th, you're in the clear for now with the Pluto square the Sun because you've got some time. Remember, Pluto moves very slowly. Think he only traverses about 1 degree per year of the zodiac here. But because Pluto will remain at 3 degrees for a while, it's going to be in a square with the individual who has the Taurus Sun at 3 degrees. Now also, say you have your moon at 3 degrees of Aquarius, you're going to have Pluto aligned with your moon. That will be the transit that you're under, Pluto to the moon. If it's in Scorpio, you'll have a Pluto square moon transit. If it's in Leo, you'll have a Pluto opposite moon transit. You see how that works? And for those that might not know, I hope that this gives you a little more understanding. So if you are under a Pluto transit like this and Pluto's close by degree to any of your sensitive personal points and or placements, such as the sun, the moon, your ascendant, any of your angles, your midheaven, your IC, your descendant, your Mars, your Venus, you're getting a Pluto transit. So it will just be helpful to track that so that you can be aware of it and utilize the tools that you have in your spiritual toolbox to take care of yourself, to ground yourself, to breathe, to stay present, to stay grounded in the moment. That's the best way to handle Pluto transits. It's not to anticipate doom, but rather to focus on how we can become more empowered. And I'm going to plug this book right now because it's my absolute favorite book about Pluto. It's not really about Pluto, but it is one of my favorite psychology books. And it's an interactive book as well. It's an interactive workbook. Bringing Your Shadow Out of the Dark by Robert Augustus Masters. Highly recommend this. It's very Plutonian, very helpful when we're dealing with our own shadow material, which we're all doing all the time. So with Pluto, we're going to often feel like our ego is just being dissolved. The creature comforts, that which we thought we could, whether it's superficial or not, that which we thought could keep us safe, we recognize where it cannot. And then this is how we break open. And then this is how the light gets in. It's the evolution of the soul, which is what we're here to do. The dissolution of the ego is the evolution of the soul. Pluto is a powerful planet. He packs a powerful punch, even though Pluto was technically demoted in 2006, I believe, to a dwarf planet. Honestly, he is anything but small, especially when it comes to the magnitude of his power. And that's a key word for Pluto and Pluto transits is power. And please be sure to check out the Pluto video, the Pluto conversation that I had with fellow astrologer Natha Perkins of Electra Astrology. It's an excellent, excellent reading. It's a deep dive into all things Pluto, how he shows up and plays out in our lives personally. It's extremely enlightening, so definitely check that out. It's linked in the description box below. It's super significant to get acquainted with your own personal Pluto, as it holds a lot of grit and also a lot of gold. When we get to May 10th, Mercury will enter Taurus and will remain there until May 26th. In Taurus, collectively speaking, our thinking, our speaking, our processing can take on a more slower tone, but this can be very good. It can be a welcome change. Taurus, Mercury here, it's more methodical. We process more deeply. It's all about communication, commitment, and rationale. That's what Mercury in the sign of the bull feels like. This could actually be very positive. It's necessary right now. On May 12th, Mercury will square off with Pluto. This can feel like an anxious energy. This can feel like a highly obsessive energy, nail-biting, really locked in and focused on something, perhaps even obsessively for better or worse. We could be giving ourselves a lot of unnecessary or necessary anxiety in regards to situations. So just pay attention to your motives right now, your motivations. What are you thinking about very deeply? If you have a lot of fixed energy, which is Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, you're going to want to, again, pull into that spiritual toolbox, extra grounding, stay anchored in the present moment, because thinking ahead with all of the what ifs, that's what really does create more and more anxiety, that nail-biting energy. So try as hard as you can to stay anchored and grounded. That goes for everyone, but more strongly if you're fixed. Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius. On the other hand, this energy is great for research. It's great for investigative projects, investigating anything in general. coming up with solutions to a problem that perhaps holds a lot of tension. Could also bring in heat to conversation, so be mindful of that. Then we get to our Scorpio full moon. And I just love this picture because Scorpio is an energy, again, it's of the shadow. Think about Pluto. Pluto rules Scorpio. We're talking a lot about Pluto. There's a very strong Plutonian undercurrent all throughout the month of May, but specifically around this full moon and at the beginning of May. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, therefore this is a Pluto-ruled moon, full moon. Scorpio is also ruled by Mars. So there's a lot of heat present around this full moon. And in the sign of Scorpio, the moon is in its exile. It's in what we call its fall, meaning it struggles here a bit. Now I have to tell you, I have a different take on the Scorpio moon. I love the Scorpio moon placement. It's extremely intuitive, it's extremely deep, it's extremely passionate. Yes, of course, it does have a shadow side, as does every energy, every placement. Everything has its higher vibration and lower vibration. And in lower vibration, a Scorpio moon can be very unevolved, very vengeful, very spiteful, living more in the shadow, afraid to look at the shadow. In higher vibration, it's all about the evolution of the soul. It's about going deep underneath the surface to get to the meat, to get to the bottom of everything. So I personally enjoy the moon in Scorpio. Not everybody is comfortable with that level of intensity, but I think it's a beautiful placement. There's just going to always be a struggle with the higher vibe and lower vibe energies of Scorpio moon. But it is a beautiful moon placement in my humble opinion. So if you have a Scorpio moon, let me know. This will be your full moon. The Scorpio full moon will take place on May 12th at 8:22 p.m. Eastern Time at 23 degrees and 19 minutes of Scorpio. It's great to understand the impact of full moons in general. They are a time of heightened awareness, heightened intuition. It's where everything comes up to the surface. Everything that has been obscured, everything that has been hidden is now being unveiled and illuminated by the light of the moon. It's a very intuitive time. It can be a time that produces a lot of anxiety, especially with all of the other astrology going on at this time. You could be feeling very overwhelmed, so make sure that you drop in and tune in and take care of yourself. Again, this is for everyone, but especially if you're Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, or have those strong points placements of those signs in your chart. Now, understanding the full moon's impact on your birth chart and in your current reality, personally speaking, is just so helpful for understanding and managing the deep emotions that might arise, any feelings of built up stress and/or crisis, where are they manifesting? Because that's very telling. It's also about the internal conflicts that we have, how we manage them externally. So it's not only spiritually rewarding, but it's very psychologically rewarding to understand the full moon's impact, each full moon's impact in your chart and in your life. Not everyone will feel the same, right? Here's the chart for the Scorpio full moon taking place on May 12th, 12:55 p.m. Eastern Time. I have this set for New York, but obviously you'll change this for your location. It'll be 9:55 a.m. Pacific Time, 6:55 p.m. UK time, and then again, just change it for your location. We see the sun up here at 22 degrees and 12 minutes of Taurus, and the moon directly opposite at 22 degrees and 12 minutes of Scorpio. The Taurus and Scorpio axis is going to always pull a lot of focus onto our relationships and our resources. Financially, because these are the two signs and the two areas of the chart that deal with money, both money that we hold and have ourselves and the money that we share and the resources that we share with others. This is about intimacy, this is about safety, and this is about security. This is also about fear and betrayal. It's about love. A lot of deep emotions swirling around this full moon. A lot of clearing of past karmic patterns, things that have really kept us stuck. Scorpio and Taurus are fixed energies. But here with this full moon, there's a climax. There's a crescendo of these energies. And in one or more areas of your life, you're going to be feeling this pull, this desire to cleanse mind, body, spirit, to let go or to release someone or something that you've been terrified to do previously. It's like you're really getting ready because you're ready to move on. You're ready to be in your power, or to take your power back, to reclaim your power in a situation. This is breaking point energy, but it's positive. The sun is aligned with Uranus, the planet of surprise and shock and disruption, which can often be disruption of the best kind. We know that Taurus energy doesn't really like to change, but this is actually promoting change. Again, I want to stress taking care of the physical body, the system, staying grounded, because anxiety will likely be really high around this full moon. Watch the weather wherever you're going to be, because the weather is going to be quite kooky around this time. Unfortunately, earthquakes, volcanoes, not just physically, but this could also be erupting politically and financially. Again, remember, Taurus and Scorpio, they're the signs of finances. I know today as I record this, we had a small earthquake where I live. That doesn't happen very often, and there have been series of small earthquakes on the East Coast. I feel like this is going to be a theme, especially as we get through the middle of May. When it came to the weather disruptions and also disruptions in general, I did receive some intuitive insights here into areas, so I'm just going to share them with you. I was getting a lot around Connecticut, a lot also around St. Louis and Arkansas. And then moving to a different part of the world, I was getting a lot around Kenya and also New Zealand. This could be in the form of heightened water activity, heightened wind activity, and even some potential earthquakes. So if you are in these areas, like I always say, we can't change this, but we can just be more aware and more conscious. Pay attention to the animals, pay attention to the wildlife, the animal kingdom. They always feel this before we do. Or I should say they're usually more conscious of it before we are through their senses. And also Germany, when it comes to governmentally, politically, a lot of potential changeover and upheaval that we could be hearing about coming out of that part of the world. Just a few things that came through when I was doing the full moon reading. So this will likely unfold around the middle of the month, or we'll be hearing about it around that time. You can also see right here that Uranus is at 26 degrees of Taurus. And the North Node is at 26 degrees of Pisces, the South Node exactly opposite at 26 degrees of Virgo. So this pulls in a supportive alignment with Uranus, the planet of change and disruption, but also freedom and authenticity and liberation. Uranus is in a sextile to the North Node in Pisces and a trine to the South Node in Virgo, which is supportive. So this is indicative of supported change, even when change can appear potentially disruptive at first, or not even disruptive, but let's use the word unsettling, because that's also a strong energy for Uranian energy, unsettling. Spiritually speaking, changes are supported. There's a strong air of destiny and alignment to what is going on right now for all of us personally, and of course collectively, even amongst potential disruption and unsettled energy. Chaotic energy even at times. So let's keep sight of the bigger picture. This has been in effect really since the end of April, since around April 25th, and will be exact aligned with the nodes until about April 12th. So destiny is calling. Think of it that way. We have Mercury aligned with Psyche, which is really wonderful for thought out action, for making a plan, for conscious conversation, results-oriented efforts. Our intuition is very heightened, our higher mind is open, our third eye is open. And the more grounded and centered you remain, the more you're going to be open and available to receive intuitive information, psychic impressions, insight, etc. We still have the Neptune-Venus conjunction in effect, which can definitely bring in feelings of love, softness, compassion. It's in Aries, so we still want to take action, but there's a softness to it. Wonderful for creative and intuitive work. We've got Saturn aligned with Ceres here at 28 degrees of Pisces, reminding us to take good care and to nurture ourselves, to pay attention to what feels nurturing, and to be willing to say no to what doesn't. This is about boundaries, boundaries for self, boundaries within self, and trusting yourself through the process. The ruler of this full moon is Pluto, as Pluto rules Scorpio, and we have Pluto here at 3 degrees of Aquarius retrograde. Pay attention to the glimmers, as I call them, instead of saying triggers, the glimmers that come up for you. Where might you be feeling powerless in your life, in relationships? Pay attention to that. Do some shadow work around it. This is also a Mars-ruled full moon, as Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, and Mars is here at 11 degrees of Leo, moving forward out of his shadow zone. So our energy levels can absolutely be feeling much more feisty, much more fiery, much more passionate, much more bold. This could be very positive. This could also be very contentious, so choose wisely. Mars and Venus are in a nice trine. The masculine and the feminine sides are talking nicely to each other, or at least trying to understand each other. They're very passionate right now. This could be great for relationships that are functioning in higher vibration. And in lower vibration, it could be great for relationships because it's going to force crisis to come to the surface for healing, for renewal, for regeneration, and in some cases, separation. We've got this Pluto-Mercury square going on here exactly at 3 degrees. So information is coming in, but we have to be careful about the source. We have to fact check. This is great energy for research, as mentioned earlier, but we have to also watch for heated debates. We still have Chiron and Eris very tightly aligned. Everyone's feeling feisty. Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to speak. We have this T-square here. We've got asteroid Pallas Athene at 23 degrees of Aquarius, and Pallas is squaring the moon here at 22 degrees, also squaring the sun, and Uranus at 22 degrees, 26 degrees is Uranus. This pulls in a T-square. This can just add to that unsettled feeling of the system. I would imagine that you might feel a little bit shaky at this time. Headaches could be also a thing. So if you experience that, just make sure that you're keeping up with your water intake. We really want to watch the potential to not gloss over our intuitive impressions out of fear. We have to pay attention to how things feel in our body. Remember that intuition is always going to speak to you through your stomach. That's where we feel our intuition, hence the gut. It's our stomach. Everything else we feel in other parts of our body. Fear, doubt, paranoia. We feel that in our chest. We feel that in our head. We can feel that in our back. But your stomach, that is the seat of your intuition. So when you feel things in your stomach, that is your intuition. Please remember that, because there's a lot of energy here where we could be in this space of self-deceit, not trusting ourselves to make the necessary moves forward for ourselves. That's another strong energy at this full moon, around this full moon. But intuition is so heightened right now. There's a lot of truths being unveiled. And so you have to trust that. You have to trust your intuition. We've got Jupiter moving into a square with Saturn here. The world stage is heating up. Jupiter is all about expansion. Saturn is all about restriction, contraction. So these two coming into a square aspect, which is friction and tension and heat, along with all of this other contentious energy. I feel like this is going to have a lot to do with tariffs, also with the financial systems, not just in the United States, but worldwide. So try not to allow yourself to get so aggravated because we don't have all the information yet. The full moon is also exactly aligned with fixed star Unakalhai. In Arabic, Unakalhai is the snake's neck. Unakalhai is a star that sits on the neck of the serpent, the snake. And this fixed star doesn't necessarily carry with it the most positive vibes. It definitely, in lower vibration, can indicate some evil or some mischief, some violence potentially. So we have to watch for being lured into things that are not aligned in our authenticity, not to take action or to try not to take action out of rage or fear, and to really pull into the opposite side, the Taurus energy, think things through, pull back, get grounded, and see how you feel. On the positive side, this can be very healing as we dig deep and we get to the root of what's really underneath for us. Remember that snakes can bite and they can be poisonous. So we have to watch that. And we also have the moon aligned with fixed star Zubane Shamali. Been waiting a long time to talk about this one. Zubane Shamali does carry with it a more positive tone. Zubane Shamali is actually in the northern scale of balance in the Libra constellation. Zubane Shamali is a star that is particularly strong when it comes to our mind and our intellect. And it's also highly psychic. So put that together with Scorpio energy and a Scorpio full moon. Intuition is so heightened right now. Downright psychic insights are here. And on the shadow side, that can also bring an increase to psychotic. So we've got psychic and psychotic. So again, just be very mindful of your movements, of your whereabouts. I hate to say this, but even like walking alone at night, for example, just be extra cognizant, extra aware, because full moons in general do tend to pull up the lunacy. Remember, lunacy, they can lunatic. All of these words are derivatives here. Full moons do bring in heightened activity. And in Scorpio, we can get some of the lower vibrational energies. Doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be you, but it could be somebody around you or somebody within your sphere. So you just want to always remain very mindful, very aware, take precautions where necessary. Don't live in fear, but just be extra mindful, especially around this full moon. I want to mention with this full moon, if you find yourself spiraling, if you find yourself in a space of fear or paranoia, or if you feel like your mental state is just very fragile or not right, give yourself some grace, give yourself some space, and take some time, because this full moon can, and more than likely will, really exacerbate what's already feeling like it's too much. There's a very strong energy of overwhelm. I just want to stress that. I want to be clear about that, because it's easy to feel like sometimes we're the only one. But this is a collective energy right now. It's very heightened, along with whatever you've got going on personally. It can sometimes feel like too much. So take some time, take some space, allow the energy to pass. It's going to feel the most powerful, the most potent, the most pronounced, the very beginning of May all the way up until that full moon, and then a little bit thereafter. So just, again, give yourself that compassion, give yourself the grace and the space. Here is where the full moon will fall for you. by your sign. I always suggest that you follow your rising sign because I do this part according to the whole sign system. So you're going to want to follow your rising sign for most accuracy, and then your sun sign and even your moon sign if you know it. Remember, you can always obtain your birth chart for free right on my website, lisasalvatore.com. You just scroll down and it's right there on the homepage. And don't forget the free downloadable guide through all 12 houses. Houses meaning the departments of life or the areas of life where this energy will fall for you. Don't forget to grab that download right in the description box. Everyone's going to experience the full moon energies and will likely feel this full moon, but it's going to be the most pronounced for our fixed signs, which are Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius, and even more so if you have any of your points and or placements between 20 and 24 degrees of any of those signs. Something that I forgot to mention, Uranus will move to 27 degrees on May 12th and will remain at 27 degrees until the end of May. So if your birthday is May 16th, May 17th, May 18th, you're getting a Uranus to the sun transit. Now, Uranus to the sun can be very liberating. It has a lot of energy. It's very electrifying. It can sometimes make us feel like there's too much energy, coupled with all of this other astrology and the full moon. Again, we're all going to need to take extra good care of the system, but even more so if you are a Taurus with your birthday May 16th through the 18th, you're going to be feeling this Uranus to the sun transit, which can be amazing for change. I always remember when Uranus was directly on my sun a few years ago on my birthday, I ran the fastest mile I had run in years. But I also wasn't sleeping very much because I had a lot of that bubbly, electrifying Uranus energy going through my body. If you know, you know. It's like a jolt to the system. This can give us a lot of energy, but sometimes it can have us crash out and it can deplete us. So just take good care. But know that Uranus to the sun in general is an energy of change. It's an energy of disruption. It's an energy of clearing the path. But more than that, it's an energy of truth, freedom, liberation, and authenticity. So these are other strong themes for the month of May in general. So there you have it, the first half of May leading up to the full moon in Scorpio. I am going to come back with the second half of May shortly. And if you'd like to hear something a little more personal, something I've got going on for the month of May, please take a listen right here. Hello everyone, Lisa Salvatore here with a little bit of different content than my usual astrological predictive content. Today we're going to talk about something a little more personal. Every year from the end of March to the beginning of June, my family and I are very involved with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and fundraising for a cause. We unfortunately know firsthand the devastation of a cancer diagnosis as my niece Penelope, now 11, at just 6 years old, was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, otherwise known as ALL. Thankfully, Penelope is doing great today. She's 11 years old. She underwent 2+ years of treatment, and she is now just over 2.5 years post-treatment from when she rang the bell in August of 2022. Even though technically she's not considered a survivor until 5 years out of treatment, we consider her a survivor. She's our little warrior. Not everyone is so fortunate. So not only do we fight every year for children like Penelope, we're also very involved with Pediatric Initiative, but we do this for blood cancer patients and their families everywhere. And at the end of this video, I will also share a personal video. So here's where you all come in. I am already an affiliate with a company called Otter Spirit. They make authentic gemstone jewelry, which is one of my favorite things. And I'm so excited to announce that for the month of May, we have created a specific bracelet pack called Survive and Thrive. I'm wearing it right now. This will be available as of May 1st. I have chosen specific gemstones here with precious meanings for our cause. And again, this will go on for the whole entire month of May, May 1st through May 31st. For every bracelet pack purchased, 20% of this will go directly toward the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. The stones that I have chosen are garnet. Garnet is a beautiful red stone all about vitality and passion. It supports our system. It helps to keep us grounded. It's also a stone of courage, confidence, and creativity, perfect for surviving and thriving. Next, I chose sunstone, which is a beautiful stone for empowerment, radiance. Think about everything that the sun represents: warmth, light, good health, abundance, perfect for surviving and thriving. And lastly, I chose moonstone, which is the perfect stone to help to soothe and ease us emotionally, physically, and spiritually as we support our system and navigate changes. Again, this is the Survive and Thrive Bracelet Pack, and it will be available May 1st to May 31st, and 20% of each bracelet pack is going to go directly to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Now, full disclosure, I am already an affiliate with Otter Spirit, and I do make a small commission off of all jewelry sold through my unique URL link, and all of this is going to be posted below. But all of that to say, I am also giving my piece of the commission for each of these bracelets directly to the fundraiser. So that 20% is going to also include my portion. I'm super excited to do this. I already love Otter Spirit and everything that they represent. If you want to hear more about that, again, I'll link my collaboration details below. But even more specifically for the month of May, they are so gracious for jumping on board right away with this collaboration and being just so wonderful. And I created the bracelets myself. I created which ones I wanted to use. They, of course, did everything else. So let's remember, on behalf of Penelope and blood cancer patients everywhere, their families, survive and thrive. The link for the bracelet pack is below, along with everything else. And if you would like to make a tax-deductible donation towards the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, towards our fundraiser, I will also link my personal fundraising page below. And thank you so much for your support. And if you'd like to hear more about Penelope's story and why we fight so hard each year, here it is.
Ring that bell, girl.